so odd to me. We have so many scientific minds, and you look at the models, and we've been looking at these models day in and day out for the past week, and meteorologists across the country all agreed that this would be, a category 4. You and Greg Bostwick called it even before others did as well, and it's so interesting to see that that is not transpiring. Obviously, we are grateful for that right now, but it's so weird.
Well, the other thing to point out too is that we're looking at one point right now. If you go to the northeast of where the storm made landfall and where we're getting some of these measurements, we could certainly be seeing some higher gusts in the northeastern portions of Cameron Parish. But again, being that close to the center, I would still expect in my mind to see the wind gusts a little bit higher than barely 100 miles an hour.
All right, Chad, thank you so much. And
You
we'll,
bet.
of course, be back with you and Greg here in just a moment. Right now on the line, I have Ronnie Hollier, who's a DD7 supervisor. Ronnie, you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Hey, thank you so much for being with us tonight. This has been a very interesting evening. What we just talked about was, several hours ago, we were talking about the possibility of close to a Cat 5 hurricane. Now we're kind of tapering off on that, especially for us here in Southeast Texas. Supervising DD7, what are your thoughts now as you look at what possibly could have been and maybe what is now for this area?
Well, we follow the National Weather Service and local meteorologists to try to get an idea of, what the storm's going to do. As of right now, it is looking a little bit.
The peak wind was 93.
What's going to happen, and it's kind of hard to predict. Had this storm gone in west 20, 30 miles, it would have been a whole different story with the storm surge. But when we have a storm of this size, we have to close the system down because you never know which way it's going to go. So we have our system closed down. We're just waiting for the storm to come through, and we'll have to see how it turns out as far as wind damage, trees, and as soon as the wind gets low enough to get vehicles out, we'll be out manning our stations and clearing ditches or whatever we need to do.
Ronnie, when you say you shut the system down, what does that entail?
Well, we have about 50 penetrations through the levee, some sluice gates, some swing gates that are open normally. When we have a storm come like this for storm surge, we close all these gates and it seals the levee.
Is Port Arthur somewhat of a fishbowl in a sense? We remember Katrina over in New Orleans, and they talk about parts of New Orleans being like a fishbowl. Is Port Arthur like that at all?
Yes. Yeah, Port Arthur, most of Port Arthur is under 5 foot above sea level. So, and that's why they have the levee down there, especially around the seawall area, Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to ask you.
No problem. But yeah, I think like that's probably one of the lowest parts of South Jefferson County.
So that obviously keeps you on your toes, doesn't it? Was there some uneasy feeling among you guys earlier?
Yeah, when they were talking about a 20-foot storm surge, there was a lot of uneasiness because our levee averages above 15 foot. So you do the math, that's extra 5 foot over the levee in some areas. So we were kind of concerned about that, but it looks like it's going to hit to our east, so that will push all the storm surge further east.
Well, Mayor Bartee was really big on evacuation. Do you feel like Port Arthur evacuated decently this time around, or were you able to kind of get a feel for that?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's you almost have to, because of this. When there's so much uncertainty and you start running out of time, it's better to err on the side of caution.
Right. Okay. Anything else you want to add to our conversation tonight, and what you guys are seeing at this point?
Well, right now I think it's still about 45 miles south of us. We haven't got the brunt of it yet, so we're all in one place at high ground until, like I said, the storm passes through. Then we'll be heading out to our stations and manning stations and cleaning ditches, whatever we need to do to get our system back to normal.
All right. So in other words, do not relax, right?
No, there's no relaxing until after it's over.
All right, Ronnie, I appreciate your time. Be safe out there, and I know you guys will do a great job over there making the situation right, and continued good luck.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Ronnie Hall, your DD7 supervisor, spending some time with us and telling us how that operation pretty much works, you know, as far as it's a lot of pressure on those guys.
Yeah, it
to
sure
pull
is.
that off and make sure the timing is right and doing their job and getting stuff done as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, earlier we spoke with Jefferson County Judge Jeff Brannick, and he talked about that really social media was a double-edged sword. It can be so positive to get great words out about evacuating and help and free help that's available to Southeast Texans, but also it can be pretty great at disseminating misinformation. And so at this point, I want to let everyone know the water is not being shut off in Port Arthur or Beaumont. Again, no water outages in Beaumont or Port Arthur reported. Now, we do have some power outages. I think if we have an opportunity to put out the Entergy power outage map right now that you can see, and folks at home, you are able to see this as well. You are able to report your power outage. Earlier tonight, we spoke with Entergy's Vice President of Operations for the state of Texas, and he told us that the cavalry is on the way. They are standing by, so after Laura moves through, no matter what strength she's at, they will be here to restore power as quickly and smoothly as possible. Now, back to those water outages, I do want to tell you that Orange County Water Control and Improvement did tell customers earlier this week that when high wind events happen, that they will have to shut the water system supply down. However, the district says it'll wait as long as possible before they shut off that water supply in Orange County. So, as we're hearing from the weather department, the winds are not what we expected at this point.
And we understood earlier tonight that the city of Port Neches had issued a boil water notice. We're not quite sure if that's still in effect, but just to be safe, boil your water in Port Neches and make sure you're doing the right thing there.
Absolutely.
Well, with Hurricane Laura bearing down now on southeast Texas, plenty left for other areas of Texas in order to avoid the threat that Laura is bringing. Aaron Jones from our affiliate caught up with a couple of evacuees from Beaumont.
He left with a basket of clothes and some toiletries, not sure when he'd return home.
I was hurrying to try to get up out of here. I literally just grabbed that basket and threw it in the car and just took off.
Beaumont resident Derek Laverne driving through the night, his family close behind.
So we didn't want to leave, but they told us it was mandatory we had to leave.
It took me like 8 hours to get out of here. I was just praying that I make it here and all my family make it out safe.
At the City of Mesquite's reception center, Laverne entered a long line wrapped around the building. The Texas National Guard eventually handing him a sheet of paper with hotel arrangements. As he got ready to head to his hotel, Hurricane Laura was upgraded to a Category 4 storm.
Because the Category 4, I mean, the regular rainstorms that we have in Beaumont flood us out. And we up underwater. So the fact that Category 4, that might just wipe us out, that's the crazy part. I just actually hope we actually come home.
So right now, that's really how a lot of people are feeling. They're just watching and waiting to see what happens next. The city of Mesquite is expecting a lot more evacuees here in the coming hours. They say right now, at this time, they're not in need of any public donations. In Mesquite, Aaron Jones, CBS 11 News.